Hi and welcome to Literary Hype. I am Stephanie, your literary hype woman, and today's author interview. Ryan Sala makes me wish that I was better at improv. I need to take improv classes just to keep up with Ryan instead of just standing there laughing because I have no idea what to say when things go a wee bit sideways. Ryan is best known for The Honeys, which is a YA horror book that came out a little over a year ago and was a Barnes & Noble Book of the Month selection. It was a Barnes & Noble Young Adult Book of the Year finalist. It did well. Now, Ryan's got a new book called Beholder, and it is a wild ride. So, check out this conversation with me and Ryan Sala from New York Comic Con. So first things first, we have to address your cosplay. Tell me all about it.
Oh, what cosplay? This is my grandmother's wedding gown. Actually, that's so offensive. People have different customs. Hi, I'm Ryan Sala, and this is my show now. I love YouTube and broadcast regularly at this channel. Alright, for serious. So I'm dressed as Sailor Moon, but it's a version of Sailor Moon that not many people are familiar with. It's Eternal Sailor Moon. And this is in honor of the Eternal Sailor Moon movie coming out, which no one knows about but me because I'm a huge nerd, but I always loved Sailor Moon, so I thought, why not go as my favorite anime heroine?
I mean, this is the place to be a huge nerd.
Yeah, it is the place to be a huge nerd.
Many people recognize it.
But no one here is a huge nerd, because everyone's nerdy in a place like this, and so I feel like everyone here is normal so long as they're within the limits of the Janet Center.
You have a point.
Yes.
I cannot argue this point.
Yeah.
So your book, Beholder, just came out.
Yes.
So for those who haven't seen it lurking around social media or on their bookstore shelves, tell us what it's about.
So, how much do you want to know? Do you want the one sentence, the three sentence, or the five sentence?
However much you want to talk about it.
Beholder begins when this child... No. Beholder begins when this kid, Ethan, goes to a party in New York that he shouldn't be at. And while at this party, when he tries to leave, someone shoves him into a bathroom. And because he's locked in this bathroom, he ends up being the only person to survive what turns out to be a ritualistic killing. So now as the only suspect, he's also about to be blamed for this. But he has a secret. He can look into any mirror and find it using this hereditary power that he thinks has driven his grandmother insane. But he has no choice but to use his power in order to figure out the conspiracy that he's now in the heart of before it's too late.
It's a wild ride.
Yeah.
This party with these murders.
Yes.
It's a lot. What is it about horror that you love?
I love horror. I mean, I have always been so interested in monsters and creatures, and someone's screaming. They like horror too.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, horror for me is such a great expression to just explore what our fears are and how strong we can be in facing them. That's why I love writing it. I also love the monsters and anything that I saw growing up. I always wanted to know what the villain was up to, what the monster was from. That's where my fixation sort of began with horror. I was an R.L. Stein kid, right? And we always remember what scares us. We are always impacted forever by the things that terrified us when we were really young. So I seek to traumatize my audience so that they remember me always.
That's a real fun way of thinking about it.
Yeah. Do you read a little horror?
Not really, but I read you. So
I'm honored. I get that a lot. That a lot of people that read me aren't horror people, but they really like The Honeys, and now they're reading Beholder, and I'm always like, best of luck, babes. I don't know who you're trying to impress, but I'm impressed, actually, to be quite honest. I'm always really honored and grateful when people take a chance on horror because they want to read something queer, because they think that I'm funny on the internet, and they end up really liking it. And I try to tell people there's a lot out there that you can really enjoy, maybe. It's not all slashers.
So you touched on the mirror shenanigans. Let's talk about where that whole idea came from and creating this kind of magic system that goes with it.
Absolutely. When I was researching The Honeys, I was at this antique store in the Catskills, and I picked up this old hand mirror, and I had this moment of this mirror has probably held hundreds of faces on it. And I had this idea of, what about a power that you could see backwards in time, and whose face would I see? And what if in rewinding this mirror, all of the faces that I've ever seen it, I saw someone that I knew? And what if they had a message for me and they were talking to me? So I wanted to give Ethan, the main character, a power that sort of squarely faces him backwards, because he's also a kid that is dealing with this life-changing trauma that he went through as a child, and now, as a teen, he's going through yet another trauma, but it turns out, having a fixation on the past and not being able to move forward is sort of the thing that holds you back. And so there's a metaphor behind the power itself too, but it's also something that I think about all the time. Anytime I look at a mirror in a hotel or in like a fancy restaurant, I'm always like, who was in this before me? What did they see? What were they looking at? And so yeah, it's a few different layers.
And I hear you don't like mirrors.
I don't understand mirrors. I just don't get how they work. And as it turns out, like, no culture does. Like, every culture on Earth has some sort of mythology or superstition around mirrors and breaking them. And I love exploring, like, what that might come from. So I thought, why not create an entity living in the mirrors that can sort of speak to all the fears that humans have always had about things that reflect them.
And you talked about how Ethan lives with his grandmother, his yaya. Talk about infusing your own Greek culture into this story.
Yaya, if you're out there listening, I want you to know that the Yaya in the book is not based on you, but that it's true. I am Greek, I'm Italian, I'm from a very Mediterranean family, and Greek people, they're superstitious, and they have ideas around, like, the evil eye, right? This entity in the world that if you're not careful about guarding what's precious to you, the evil eye will see you, and it's going to potentially take the things away from you that you work really hard to protect. And so, and every culture actually also has some sort of mythology around, like, the evil eye. It's just called different things in different places, and has to do with envy and jealousy. And growing up, we always talked about, like, don't attract the evil eye, and to the point that, like, we wouldn't talk about the things that we liked about ourselves, because if you were too happy with yourself, it was an invitation for doom to sort of blind you. And so, and eventually, I had to kind of unlearn a lot of that as like an adult, and started to basically I had to unlearn a lot of that as an adult, because it was starting to kind of affect my ability to embrace the things that were making me happy, or as my dreams were coming true, I started to think that bad things happened to me because I learned that that's supposed to be a way, and that's not really healthy way of thinking, so I had to unlearn it.
What do you hope the audience, the readers, take away from this and remember beyond the trauma?
I mean, a few things. I think, of course, I have all these lofty ideas about what it means to write queer horror and the way that I want to see queer people in every kind of story and succeed in every kind of, obstacle. But I also value people reading my books and just having the delights. I am a horror writer. I'm writing something that can fundamentally also just be sensational and enjoyable and, fantastical, and I'm happy with that response too. So I kind of leave it up to people what they get out of my books, but I will say it has been the privilege of my life to get such lovely messages from people telling me that they had found themselves in my words, and that even though I'm dealing with really scary subject matter, they have found ways to sort of feel courageous about things that are even real problems that they're facing. That's a really lovely response too. So I leave it up to people to see what they get out, but I sort of, my hope is that it meets people wherever they need to be met.
This book came out around the same time as The Honeys came out in paperback.
Yes.
So it was a busy season for you, because you were Barnes & Noble Book of the Year nominee for YA.
Well, okay, research.
I work at a Barnes & Noble. I had to tell people about you. Okay?
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, I didn't say it. Yeah, that's true too.
So what was it like getting that response to The Honeys leading into the Older release?
Bizarre. And I mean, in a really good way. But I never have any expectation that things will go well, right? I'm always anticipating sort of this senseless doom, right? The aim high. So when things do go well, I'm always like, wow, this is really cool. But I also think at the same time that my books deserve it. I know I work really hard on my books, and so when I get a really good opportunity, like Barnes & Noble's Book of the Year, or a YA pick for August, I have equal parts gratitude and sort of pride in seeing something that I've worked really hard on find a wider audience. But my books are really weird, and they're really strange, and they're a little unsettling. And so to have a mainstream opportunity, I know we're in a place like Barnes & Noble, or through many different bookstores, it always feels like maybe I'm not as weird as I think I am, right? Maybe there's a bunch of other weird people out there that want to read exactly this, and that's surprising to me, but also marvelous at the same time.
Weird people are everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
As we stand in Comic-Con.
Right, surrounded by people in costumes. It's absolutely true, and I think that's the kind of surprising thing when you become an author. You're like, oh, readers are out there, because I spend all my time alone writing. So it's always a little bit of a shock to me when I find out that people are actually, you're reading my books. Like, who are you? Answer me, in your room, whatever room you're watching in. All right, nice to meet you.
You are so much fun. Oh my god. So when I posted the picture from your book tour of us, I got lots of comments about how much people loved your nails.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. My best manicure of my life, thank God. Well timed for signing all the books.
Yeah, and you said that those came from fans, right?
Yes, so Jenny Shaw from the Nail Coven. It's a nail studio that she runs where she makes custom bookish nails for like a book cover, and it's not just like a few stars here and there. As you saw, the Beholder nails were like highly detailed versions of the covers but on nails, and she reached out to me back when the Beholder cover was revealed and said, oh, I can't wait to make a set of nails for this, and I was like, actually, I can't wait to pay you to send me a set of nails that I can wear on tour for this. And I have never, like, it was the right decision, because I've gotten a lot of use out of those nails, and now I think it's time to frame them, because I don't think I can ever sign 100 books again while wearing long press-on nails. That was a little hard.
You said you're trying out confidence. How did that happen?
I was trying to find, forced in confidence, and I mean, it was fun. It was hard to get in and out of doors. I had a lot of people opening doors for me, which I thought was going to be really cool. It was mostly just really embarrassing, a little humiliating. Yeah.
How much you would pay?
I know, but I'm like I'm a rough touch kind of person. Like all the things I like break things constantly because I'm kind of I'm not very gentle with my possessions, and so not being able to like use my hands was it was different, and I wouldn't recommend it to future me, which I guess is what we call a life lesson.
Yeah, I think what's the craziest thing someone has given you going on tour?
Someone just gave me a pin that had the Honeys cover on it that said, would you like to join my cult? And I was like, what cult? And they're like, your cult. And I was like, oh, this pin is from my point of view. This pin is asking people if they want to join my cult, which is the Honeys. And I had to very politely be like, you're not like mass producing these, right? Because I'll get in trouble. I already have enough claims about running cults on the internet. I don't need this. But no, it was just a gift that they made for me, and I really appreciate it. Whenever people bring me something they've actually like made, like the pins and the nails and the fan art, it's like the coolest thing. It's not fun to get something people actually spend time making. I know how to make stuff. I love to make stuff. So I know what it means to make something for someone that you love, so I really appreciate that.
And you got to participate in the Battle of the Tropes in a real fun way and crown the winner. Well, how much fun was that to skip through and surprise the authors?
What a dream. It's a dream I never knew I had. To skip through a conference room in the Javits Center while wearing giant, like, iridescent vinyl wings to crown Tessa Bailey as Ryder Cordova with a scepter that I then had to take back from them. Honor of a lifetime.
So Ryder was so excited that her friend was the one doing the crowning.
I love that it was a surprise. They had no idea.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
What does the writer community mean to you?
Oh my gosh. I never expected to sort of have a community around my books, right? I sort of got into writing because I wanted to do it for myself and tell stories for myself, but ultimately I wouldn't have a career if people didn't notice me in the writing community and lift me up and say, hey, do you want to read books like this? Reverie, my very first book, was 100% rejected. Not a single agent wanted to read that book. I didn't even get a partial request on that book. It was only because of like Twitter pitch contests and people that noticed me on the internet and the writing community that eventually got noticed and editor wanted to eventually publish that book. And so the writing community for me is a very real thing. It's an extremely real thing. And now some of my closest friends are people that I met when I was just starting out and trying to figure out what it meant to be a part of the community. So I really try to find ways to give back to the community, to explore other people's pursuits. I love doing stuff like this, helping other people like make content. It's always like fun to be part of someone else's project. And I think that's sometimes something that we get lost with because we think, well, how can the community help us? Forgetting that we have to be part of the community and we have to help the community back.
What are you working on next?
Well, my Sailor Moon cosplay was going to be my answer, but clearly that's done. So I don't know. I don't have like a project. This is what happens when I don't have like a book project. I start making costumes. So you can probably expect many more costumes. Probably. Okay. The real answer is the Honeys film has started some logistical work, so I'm excited to. I'm an executive producer on that, so I get to like actually be part of the process. So some of that, and then I mean I have more books coming out, but I don't even know what they're about. So you know, ask me in a few months because I definitely have to come up with an answer soon. Yeah, no, there's definitely stuff that is on its way, but as the writer of said stuff and having not written it, I have no answer.
Fine, I'll accept it. Well, since you mentioned eyes, the cover of your book, you have an eyeball and a spider, and I hate spiders. Why would you do this to me?
Yeah, well, you know, first and foremost, it is personal. It's a personal attack.
I figured.
Yeah, what's your next biggest fear?
I'm not really afraid of spiders. I just don't like them. I don't really have nothing to experience.
I feel like that should be explored. I think spiders are really cool, and I think that like they get a kind of a bad rap. But without spiders, we would have so many more mosquitoes.
My boyfriend tells me.
Yeah. What else?
The eyes, the 8 eyes, they get me. I don't like looking at them.
Yeah. Well, okay. Actually, my interview now. Question for you: if a spider could wink, would it do so with 4 eyes, or 1 eye, or some other combination?
I think you just broke my brain.
Is winking closing 50% of the eyes that you have, or closing 1 eye, or keeping 1 eye open when the rest are closed? If a spider, in the comments, if a spider could wink, would it do so? How many eyes would it use to close? This is a question that I have haunted my friends with for, at this point, years, and I finally wrote it into the Honeys. And now I'm writing a book about spiders, so I really feel like I'm making gains in terms of getting the answer to this question.
It's going to keep me up tonight.
Yeah, please, in the comments. Thank you.
And the last question, always ask,
Okay.
because this is Literary Hype, what books are you hyped about right now?
Okay. I'm loving the Witchling series by Claribel A. Ortega. Your Lonely Nights Are Over by Adam Sass. If you love like queer horror like I write, Adam Sass just came out with like a queer slasher novel, which is fantastic. The Forest Demands Its Due by Kosoko Jackson, good friend of mine. I always recommend A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee because we're good friends, and also like I think that book is like, it's like the Honeys but like without the Honeys. It's like all of the like dark academia of it. And let's see. Yeah, I think that's a good list. I'm trying to think of, I always read like 9 books at once. So the result is that like when someone asks me, I have like a long list of what I'm currently reading, but I'm like in the middle of like all of those right now.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your Comic-Con day.
Oh my God, what a joy. This is the highlight of my day. Thank you for tracking me down.
It was an effort.
Yes, this is such a blast. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks again to Ryan for not only taking time to do this interview, but also for taking time out of the chaos of New York Comic-Con to come to the Battle of the Tropes panel and crown the winners. Definitely check out that panel. It was such a wild ride, especially when Ryan came skipping up to crown the winners. It was great. If you want to get your hands on a copy of Beholder, the link to get that is down below, as well as some of Ryan's other books and where to find Ryan on social media. I am eagerly looking for the TikToks that were filmed during the Battle of the Tropes panel. Keeping an eye out for those. And while you're that side of the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Turn on your notifications so you know when the next author chat is coming your way. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.